Jason, we usually start off by asking our guests to tell us just a little bit about themselves and kind of how you ended up where you are today.
Man, that's a story in itself. So it's you could start where I was a kid and ended up playing football and uh, traveled to Minnesota to play football in college. Got hurt, came home, started working at a place my dad worked at. My dad's a diesel mechanic. Um, Thought about going overseas, working the oil fields. That's where the money was. $140,000 a year, no tax. Went talk to a friend of mine's dad who was a financial manager. And my dad graduated with him and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think?" He's like, "I tell you what, I got a computer, I got an office. Come work for me, figure it out." So that was Word Perfect 6.4, AOL dial up, Bulletin Board dial up days. Um, so started working with him. He's like, it was a deal I couldn't turn down. He was going to pay for my college, give me a car, pay me while I was at school. Who can say no to that, right? And so that was great for about a year and a half until the police showed up to arrest him for fraud. And from there, had to get a good job. So luckily, I was able to take my computer skills, hired on through a company, oil and gas company, and they just had a few computers. Uh, it was, oh man, it was mid '90s time period. Doing their purchasing, doing a lot of anything that they had that ran on a computer. I pretty much ran that department or worked in that department, and just sitting there and I got to doing drawing of all their equipment they had. Good old micrographics designer, if that rings any bells. And so computer guys come fix the computers and I just watch. And, I'd be trying to work on something. It wouldn't work. I'd have to wait for him to come. And so when he came, I just started watching him and started realizing real quick it was a process of elimination with what he was doing. That's back when you would change a sound card and change a video card. And we were connected to a Novell 411 server. And so just kind of tagged along with him and watched him. And at some point said, "I can do this." Approached the owner of that company and said, "Hey, instead of paying him $100 an hour, you can pay me." And so started doing their computer work. Then I got the opportunity to go work for a new startup company in the like machine shop type business, set up pretty much their computers and everything else. One day they walked up and said, "You're gonna hear a constant story." They walked up and said, "We don't have enough money to pay you. We're gonna have to cut your pay." So I ended up going work for a company called RPC, which is Rollins Patterson Cud. Rollins is big in trucking across the country. Um, Actually, it was my first IT job. Help desk, we had about 1,000 users. Windows 4.0, Citrix. We had Citrix dial-ups with a program called Runoman on AS400. And so you dial in, companies would dial in remotely to connect to AS400. And so got a lot of opportunities for a lot of different technologies early on. And worked there. That's where I met my business partner of the technology company that I sold out of a couple of years ago. Him and I moved to another company, started doing, we both, as IT, got your part-time job doing IT after hours. We decided to join forces, form Technology Professionals in 2003. Worked a year part-time, and then the companies were like, "All right, you got to start coming during the daytime." Oil field takes a downturn. My business partner was my boss. His boss walks in and says, "Jason's last day's Friday." So the decision of one of us having to jump was made, and it was me. So worked for about 2 years, got him out, and then we were going to be just consulting, nothing else. And then companies were, "Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this?" End up in a full voice data and design company, 16 years that I sold out of in 2019 of July to do Stratify, which I've been doing for the last couple of years, which is more of the strategy and vision and how tech ties into it, software selection, evaluation. Had a lot of opportunities with ERP systems, so probably 25 different from Dynamics, Great Plains, JD Edwards, Mass90, BusinessWorks, Sage, Oracle. I mean, just go down the line. PeopleSoft. I've been very fortunate to participate in a lot of those implementations. And so I'm working to help companies make sure they're running the right systems and do a lot of software selection, evaluation, how that relates to policies, procedures, profitability, productivity, and efficiency. And that's where I am today. Hopefully that's not too long an answer.
No, that was great.